Hi all, and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman 02 for the last time. This is the bonus part, and I'll be showing off some things I wasn't able to in the main playthrough. The first of those requires you to kill every Cyber Elf in your collection, and while I've already taken care of that, there is one other requirement for you to get this thing. That is killing El Paizo's second form. There, done. Now as a note, before I started this mission, I killed all the Cyber Elves outside of the mission. However, the game doesn't let you get away with killing Cyber Elves at any point in time, and even if they're not permanent, using a Cyber Elf outside of a mission will cause them to penalize you when you actually enter the mission, which ultimately results in a full minus 100 points from your ranking. You also don't get the 15 points you normally get from the Elf section, so negative 15 it is. Thankfully it runs on averages, so we're still in A rank. Now normally you get the Proto Form upon beating the game, but because we've killed all our Elves, we unlock the Ultimate Form. Now in the first game there was an entire Ultimate mode that again was given to you upon killing every Cyber Elf in the game, but this time it's been lowered down a bit and made into a specific form. You only get it when you beat the game, and you can only use it after you beat the intro stage, so I'm just skipping straight to that. Notable here is that we have a D rank right now because all of your Cyber Elf skills carry over to a new game. That means you'll never be able to see any EX skills or, anything cool in the game if you do get this form, so make sure to unlock all of the EX skills beforehand. As you can see, we get to keep all of our forms and EX skills upon starting a new game, so I'm just going to equip all of those. We also get a couple of new forms. The first of those is the Proto Form, which is the first one I'll be showing off. Also, here's all the elves. They stay dead and you can't find them again in the stages, unfortunately. And while I've done a full playthrough of the Proto Form, I'll, talk a bit about it here. It's essentially the Black Zero from old games, making you really powerful, but also trading off a bit of your defense. You can't charge your weapons or do anything cool of that sort, but you'll also be tearing through enemies like butter. Unfortunately, they'll do the same thing to you, and your health will go down very fast when using this form. Hence why hard mode is called hard mode. Now, the other one is a little more forgiving and a little more interesting. The Ultimate Form is basically a straight upgrade from your normal form with an added stat boost to each and every section of your stats. It also seems to have been added in a bit of a rush given the typo between defend and defemmed here. Anyway, the Ultimate Form is basically Zero's body teeming with energy from the Cyber Elves. It's essentially his normal color scheme, but everything's deeper and richer, more, visually impressive. Now again, he's really powerful, but he has another hidden ability. See, using Street Fighter-like commands, you're able to instantly throw out a charge attack whenever you want. Now, I am personally very bad at doing this. However, if you are, decent at it, it can be a fun way to play the game. Now, let me just look this up. I'm really bad at some of these, but, okay, Buster is like a quarter circle going down to right to do a charge, level 1 charge thing, double quarter circle down to, I'm just gonna stop right there because I do not play fightins'. It's easy enough to look up the actual moves, and I'll be posting it in the thread, so just look there. Point is, it's fun to use, but, again, I'm really bad at it, and I prefer just charging because the charge times don't take too long. And usually when I try to perform these, I'll just walk a little bit forward and, hit enemies directly, and it's just not nearly as efficient for me. Mashing buttons allows you to do it fairly easily, but then you're just, moving at a snail's pace. I can't really find a good balance between getting them consistently and actually moving at a decent rate. Regardless, though, even if you don't use them, the Ultimate Form's really overpowered, and if you do unlock it, it's basically easy mode for the game. Again, though, you can't see EX skills anymore in the game, so I usually get it for a novelty and then, never use it again. Took that golem down in 2 hits, though. It's a testament to just how overpowered it is. Now, here's a different thing. Upon clearing a hard mode file, you get this little message, and unlock gallery mode. Gallery mode is an interesting little extra that really wasn't necessary for them to add, but it's a cool thing regardless. Unintuitively, you get to it by going through New Game and inputting a little series of commands, at which point you hit this little chime and you get to see the gallery. The gallery contains all of the still images used within the game, which were cool enough in the game, and are kinda even cooler here. They each get a title, but most of them are kinda bland, like up here. The large lengthwise ones you're able to scroll up and down if you want to. And again, it's not amazing, but it's a cool thing so that you can see all of them without having to replay the game or look them up online. I'm just going to scroll through all of them so you can see them, but we've seen them all already, so no real need for me to commentate over them. Except for this one. Watch is one of my favorite pictures in the game. That eye is just absolutely amazing. Not entirely certain what R El Paso here stands for. I think it might be like Reploid El Paso or Real El Paso or something of the sort, but really not entirely certain. And that's the last image. Cool little extra that you can only access as long as you have a save file that's, been completed. But regardless, as long as you remember it's there, it's interesting. Moving right along, there's one other thing I have to make mention of. Now, this particular entry has been hiding in plain sight on the main menu the whole time. You see, Mega Man 02 actually has a multiplayer function. Now, normally you'd need a second player to do this with, but I'm actually just going to be controlling both of them myself for the sake of convenience. Now, you get to choose from 3 different options, and I'm going to be going with Time Attack first, but no matter which one you choose, you gotta load data from a save file of yours. Reason for this is, you're actually allowed to bring in any form or elemental chip that you've acquired in the game. This seems like a cool bit of customization, but it's really not at all necessary, because as you'll be seeing, the actual modes themselves don't have enough depth to warrant it. Now, before I actually start talking about the mode itself, I'm going to be quiet a bit so that you can hear the music they'd cooked up for this particular mode. You've just literally heard everything there is to it. It's literally a 4-second long drum loop, and I have no idea what they were thinking when they made this. It's really something to behold. Now, as for the mode itself, it involves racing the second player to a predetermined goal within a set of 3 levels. The 3 levels are composed of, pre-existing assets and recolored versions of 2 specific enemies, the Telebombs and the Pantheon Hunters. But they're really not all that interesting. First one has you both starting in the same place, but the second one's mirrored, hence why this 0 is just kind of hanging there while the other one can be heard approaching our current location. But again, since they're mirrored, they're both going through the same general stuff. Now, again, there's only 3 missions, and they're not really all that interesting, so this mode doesn't really have all that much depth to it. However, it's also the most interesting of the 3 modes, which actually says something about this. Multiplayer also suffers from a lot of lag that you'll probably be seeing here. Death has no actual punishment in this mode. However, it does take a little bit for you to respawn, so your opponent can get ahead of you. And that's literally all there is to the mode. Upon finishing, your total times are tallied, and the winner gets 100 E-crystals added to their file. Now, this is actually a pretty cool touch, but 100 E-crystals isn't all that much. Another really odd design choice is that it kicks you back out to the main menu whenever you finish a mode. Now, that was the best of the mode that we've seen so far, but, it doesn't really get any better from there. Music playing in the main menu is called Red Time, and it's actually fairly good, and I like it. It has more effort put into it than any of the other modes in this whole multiplayer thing. Second mode, Enemy Battle, pits you against your opponent and killing a whole bunch of enemies within the stage. This, again, only uses the Forest Ruins stage type. There's only 2 types of enemies again. However, this time we get a recolored mole enemy, as well as a spider nest thing that only ever showed up in 01. I find it kind of interesting that they brought it back in 02, but only in multiplayer. Honestly, these multiplayer things are so subpar, I have to imagine that they're probably tech demos or, test environments for the game that someone just decided to put in as multiplayer for the sake of it. Really doesn't make any sense to me otherwise. It's also kind of unstable. Hence why we get this. This was my experience pretty much non-stop when trying to record it. And again, kicked out to the main menu. Really, this mode just didn't have much thought put into it, and I'm trying my best to just not rage against it because it sucks. That's the long and short of it. It is a very, very, very bad mode. The third option is get items, and while this could be interesting, it's actually basically just the same stage you were just on for enemy battle, and the items are only 1-ups. Z-tiles will rain from the sky for you to collect, but that's all there is to it. You're not collecting any E-crystals or any health pickups. Z-tiles are the only thing you'll be getting here. So again, really not all that much depth. There's only one map for each of these modes, and, you know, if you can convince a friend to play this with you, you're only really going to be doing it once, because there's no value to be found in these modes whatsoever. And that drum is just maddening. The results screen for all 3 modes is the same, and you get 100 E-crystals each time, but there's really no depth to multiplayer, and there's no reason to really do it at any point in time. To my knowledge, they removed this from the Zero collection on the DS. And to be honest, I think we can all safely say that nothing of value was lost whatsoever. That's going to be the true end of Mega Man 02, and while I'm sad to leave it on such a note, it's time. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. This is Gamwiz signing out for real.